What's up, friends, and welcome into the Week 9 quarterback and tight end ranks episode. I am Chris Welsh. We have got Andrew Erickson and Pat Fitzmaurice to guide you through the muddy waters of quarterbacks and tight ends. Are they that muddy, though? Not really, not the starters, but, you know, things toward the end, like usual, get a little bit crazy. Maybe some of us like Dak Prescott over Bo Nix last week. We won't talk about that. Oronde Gadsden, is he in a goated territory? Potentially, Erickson. Oronde Gadsden. GOAT or not GOAT?
He's Antonio Gates 2.0, right?
He really is. He really is.
So
He's looked amazing. Fitzy, you've turned the corner. Are we going to be pro Bo Nix and pro Oronde Gadsden? By the way, we can pick on Fitzy because he finished 2 in the ranks overall this past week. His literal only 2 bad things were these takes. That was it.
That was what prevented him from being number 1. If he had just done Bo Nix over Dak, he would have been number 1.
I had Bo Nix over Dak, and I was 2 spots below consensus on Oronde Gadsden, so you should probably just kick me off the quarterbacks and tight end show and just do this as a 2-man operation.
Yeah, no, you got this. You're our leader here, Fitzy. We can't do this without you. So we're gonna jump in. We got the top 12 quarterbacks. We got the top 12 tight ends. Usually like a name outside. If you guys want to follow along, you go to fantasypros.com/rankings. There's plenty more, obviously, in like Superflex. The quarterback rankings are going to be bigger. We don't go that far into it in this episode, but you can check out all the rankings at fantasypros.com/rankings. Before we do get to the big board on quarterbacks, it's giveaway time. If you want a chance to win the ultimate last place punishment, well, the fantasy football loser toilet seat is for you, courtesy of our friends over at Trophy Smack, the #1 destination for epic fantasy football hardware. The loser toilet seat, this is your moment. This isn't your average toilet seat. I hope not. It's a wearable badge of humiliation, designed to be shamefully worn around your neck. It's the perfect way to immortalize your league's biggest loser. To enter, all you've got to do is subscribe to Fantasy Pros YouTube channel right now and drop a comment below on any of our videos, and that is it. We'll be announcing a winner right here on the channel, so make sure to turn on notifications so you don't miss a chance to claim this prize or crown your league's ultimate loser in style. And also, you know, don't make the biggest loser in your league go spend 24 hours at a Waffle House or get a tattoo or something that's going to permanently scar them. Just have them wear a toilet. It's a much easier way to punish your friends. I think we should get, Erickson, we should get the toilet seat if we ever go, like if we have like an 0-5 day on the prop show on Betting Pros, like one of us should have to wear the toilet seat for the whole show. Luckily, we've never had that, but I think that would be, like we should have a belt for 5-0 and a toilet seat for the 0-5.
Yes. No, that would be insanely great content.
Yeah, but I don't want to use my own toilet seat. We're not going to do that.
I love how in our YouTube comments, we have a lot of people saying how badly they would want that for their league, but then they're quick to add that they would not be wearing it.
Yeah. I mean, it is probably one of the best loser ways to do it, but the usage it's not going to go obviously against a real toilet seat, but I love it. I love the idea of it. You guys can get it for your league. It's not just about winners. Sometimes it's about losers. But let's talk about some winners here. Let's go to quarterbacks for this week, and let's look at the top 12. Number 1, Patrick Mahomes this week up against Buffalo. We got Josh Allen at 2, so that game's got your 1 and 2s. Lamar Jackson, will he be active? We thought last week, but hopefully this week against Miami. Justin Herbert at 4. Drake Maye, of course. Drake Maye, top 5. That's always in queue. Daniel Jones at 6. Do I see Dak Prescott at 7? Yes, I do. Caleb Williams, Kyler Murray, Matthew Stafford, Jaxson Dart, and Jordan Love. Let's start with Caleb Williams. Looking at matchup-based stuff, again, I think you're very chalky at the top. I don't think you need to ask questions about Drake Maye. If Lamar Jackson doesn't play, that's, you know, it is what it is with a lot of these guys. Even after Dak Prescott's bad performance, maybe you could have questions. I don't think you need to. Caleb does create questions. We shied a little bit away from it last week. In Bo Nix, we're like, oh, I don't know, against Dallas. Well, Caleb has got Cincinnati this week. It's a solid matchup. It's QB 8. Erickson's got him at 8, but Fitzy, is this your week's Bo Nix? You are fading Caleb a little bit. You've got him at 12. He is 8 in consensus. So is this going to be the difference between you finishing 1 and 2 next week?
Yeah, I might have to move him up. I mean, Caleb has not played well this year, well, especially of late. It seems like he's almost regressing a little bit after we were seeing some positive signs from him early in the year. And man, you talked about Drake Maye being a no-brainer, Welsh, even in kind of a tough matchup against Atlanta. And I mean, Drake Maye is a no-brainer, and the guy drafted ahead of him, not so much. And I know some fans, Bears fans here in Chicago, are sort of grumbling about Ryan Poles in that decision. But look, I'm going to have to move Caleb up if Trey Hendrickson can't play because of his hip injury, because that is going to make the Bengals defense just a pushover. And Caleb might be able to pick apart the Cincinnati defense. And the Bears absolutely decimated themselves at the cornerback position. So Bengals are probably going to have success throwing the ball, and maybe that could turn this into a track meet where if Caleb is in a shootout, he maybe could finish as a top 5 quarterback this week. So I'm probably too low and have to change this.
Erickson, you're kind of riding the matchup here, similar to the Bo Nix thing last week. Cincinnati, solid matchup. You've got him at consensus. What do you want to add?
Yeah, Bengals are allowing 20 fantasy points per game to quarterbacks. That's going to put Caleb Williams in the top 12 discussion, and he adds an element of rushing. And I think that Ben Johnson, you want to build your quarterback's confidence. What better way to do that than against this JV defense? Just layups. Colston Loveland's going to be wide open because he's facing the Bengals. He's going to catch 2 touchdowns. So I think Caleb Williams and a lot of these Bears are just going to have a field day against a defense that, if not for Dallas, we would all agree is the worst in the NFL.
Caleb Williams, my friends. Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray is quarterback 9. Fitz, you've got him at 9. Erickson, you've got him at 13. We've talked about ad nauseum. The Dallas matchup is always something we want to be invested in. Erickson, is the 13 rank relative to his uncertainty in here? If he is fully active, are you going to keep he is not a quarterback 1 against the Dallas Cowboys?
No, because I have guys like Jaden Daniels ahead of him, and I don't know if Jaden Daniels is going to play either. So that's another concern. Because I think there's a legitimate concern that he doesn't play against Dallas on Monday night. Jonathan Gannon, this is from the Coach Speak Index, was basically talking about how when they asked him about Kyler Murray and his foot, if he's going to play on Monday, that's a hypothetical to me. I don't know. Off a bye week, he doesn't know if his starting quarterback is going to play on Monday Night Football. That seems like pessimism to me. And not that, oh, we're fired up to have Kyler Murray back. He's going to rip apart this Dallas Cowboys defense. Giddy up. No. That was not Jonathan Gannon's response. So I just want fantasy managers to have a backup plan. Because, yeah, I got Kyler. I'm locked and loaded. Well, Monday night comes. Oh, he's not going to play. And then you maybe missed a chance to play somebody else on that Sunday slate. So that's kind of why I'm ranking him a little bit lower. Obviously, if we get more news, he will move up because the matchup is salivating.
Okay, then let me ask you this then. The caveat that you could do is pick up Jacoby Brissett. Because this matchup is so bad, and you guys have kind of discussed that the offensive pieces might be better with Jacoby Brissett. Do you think the play would be to pick up Jacoby Brissett and that either one of these guys could be a quarterback 1? I mean, your rank doesn't dictate it, but I'm just working this through. Maybe you hadn't done that because like you can protect yourself by having Brissett, and then like whoever the starter is against the Dallas Cowboys, can't they be a QB1?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think that Jacoby Brissett, if we got announcement that he was going to be the starter on Wednesday or Thursday, he would be in my top 12. And I wouldn't think twice about it. So I would say that from a roster management perspective, it does kind of hinder you because now you have to have 2 Arizona Cardinals or quarterbacks on your team. So
gross.
Roster-wise, maybe you don't want to do that, especially if you don't have an IR spot. But it's just worth like paying attention to if Murray's like limited in practices. Make sure you're addressing the quarterback position early on in the week if you can.
Fitz, your rank seems to kind of dictate. You're like, this is just him starting. You're just dedicated to it. You've got him at QB9, which is his consensus. So obviously you can hit on that. And then what do you think about the Jacoby Brissett side? If Jacoby Brissett were starting, would it be higher or lower than where you have Murray?
I underranked Bo Nix against the Dallas defense last week, and I'm not making that mistake again. Although I might put Caleb Williams 1 spot. I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to assume that Trey Hendrickson doesn't play this week because not only did he re-injure his hip last week, but he might be a trade possibility for the Bengals on November 4th. So I am thinking that he probably doesn't play this week, and that's worth moving up Caleb Williams. So Kyler would slide back to 10. I just want to play him against Dallas if he's the guy, but if he does not play, Jacoby Brissett is going to be my quarterback 10. No difference in the ranking. Doesn't offer the same rushing upside, but probably a better passer.
What do you guys think about Jaxson Dart? The 49ers defense we've talked about in a couple of these rank episodes has not been great. He's ECR 11, but both of you guys have him outside of a top 12 quarterback. I think the rushing upside just kind of keeps him in that general spot. This is a 4-star matchup rating, which he's only one of, I guess, 3 players at least, or 4 players have a 4 or higher. So the matchup is really in favor. Obviously, they don't have some of the big weapons, but you guys are lower. Fitzy, you're at 14. Erickson, you're at 13. Fitz, what doesn't have you excited about Jaxson Dart and his rushing upside, which would kind of create that floor against the 49ers?
Oh, man, he's been really entertaining this season, and I do think we're going to be drafting Jaxson Dart as a top 10 quarterback next year. But this poor kid has the deck so stacked against him now. Like, first he lost Malik Neighbors for the season. Now he's lost his buddy Cam Scadaboo. Dart is getting almost 40% of his fantasy points from rushing. I just don't know if that is a sustainable business model. And I just worry that we might get some floor games from Dart now that Scadaboo isn't around to give the Giants a running threat and help keep the chains moving.
I mean, it was a sustainable model for a guy like Justin Fields until it wasn't. So I suppose that's a positive and a negative. Right. Erickson, what do you think about Jaxson Dart?
Yeah, I mean, I can move him up just depending on what we get from Daniels and Kyler Murray. Like, those are the only guys I have in front of him right now that would move him up to where I have him, or where the ECR is. So I definitely don't like being lower on super mobile quarterbacks versus ECR, because that's usually a bad bet to make, just because all Dart does need is one 40-yard rushing touchdown, and boom, he's a QB1. So yeah, I get the deck is stacked against him, but hasn't that been that like all year long?
Yeah.
And all he does is continue to perform. So I definitely haven't been high enough on Dart in a lot of my weekly rankings, and I think that I've been pushing people in the wrong direction because of that. So I'm probably going to end up moving him. What's going to be frustrating is trying to rank Dart versus Kyler Murray, where Murray has been terrible all season. Like, he hasn't had any good games, but he's facing Dallas, and that's just, I mean, that's Christmas. When it comes to the gift that keeps on giving is the Dallas defense. So I'll have to take a hard look at my rankings between Kyler Murray if we get news that he's going to start versus a guy like Dart, where I think maybe I'll just lean over Murray, but I could definitely see him moving ahead of Daniels.
I think
that's a tough matchup.
That'll be a lot of questions we get this weekend. It'll be like Dart versus Murray and stuff like that. I just wanted to mention this one last guy, and we'll go to you, Erickson, on it because you were the absolute lowest. But we talked all this positive about Bo Nix. Bo Nix, 4 touchdowns. He's amazing. This week, done. He's QB 15, and you guys rank him even worse. Fitz, you got him at 16, but Erickson, you got him at 20. So Dallas made him a top 5 quarterback. This week, he is not startable for you, Erickson.
No, because Bo Nix is not matchup proof, right? The last couple weeks, he's been a smash because he faced the Giants and he faced the Dallas Cowboys. He's going from, again, they're not really, Dallas and Houston, not that far away from each other. Couldn't be farther difference in terms of what their defenses are. Okay? So the Texans are the league's #1 defense. Bo Nix is playing on the road. This season, again, I talked about how great the matchup is for running backs against the Bengals. 35% increase in terms of production. When quarterbacks face the Texans, they see their median baseline projection of fantasy points drop by 40%. The Texans are allowing 11.5 points per game to opposing quarterbacks. Do not start Bo Nix this week.
Fitzy, are you in agreement? You got him at 16. Is that something that you're like, maybe I could make some type of alteration for? Or is it, yeah, this defense is so bad, we're not doing the Bo Nix thing?
No, I tweaked that a bit. I've got him at QB 17 now. And you don't want to play him. Erickson said it. This is a nightmare matchup. Going from one of the best possible, well, probably the best possible matchup for a quarterback to the worst possible matchup, and just... Yeah, teams get on average about 10 offensive possessions a game. And when you go against these elite pass rushers, the Myles Garrett's, the Micah Parsons, and now Will Anderson, I think, kind of belongs in that class. Those guys like personally short circuit like 2 drives a game for an offense. And I feel like that's what Will Anderson is going to do to Bo Nix this week.
Mac Jones is able to still put up 2 passing touchdowns, and Franklin's going nuts. I don't know. It's a tough matchup, but we're destroying him But, if you have Jaxson Dart, I'm starting Dart over him. I'm just not sure he is like the biggest avoid of all. Let's go to tight ends. Tight ends on the big board. Our top 12 starts with Trey McBride this week against the Dallas Cowboys. Yes. Tyler Warren at 2. Tucker Kraft at 3. How? We've got him at 3. George Kittle, Brock Bowers being re-ranked again because it looks like he's good to go. Jake Ferguson, that's your top 6. Oronde Gadsden II is at 7. Kyle Pitts, Sam Laporta, Travis Kelce, Dalton Kincaid, and Mark Andrews. Boy, that is a group that all sounds about right. And it sounds right because Gadsden has absolutely proven himself to be on that top end. You guys are both in agreement. He is tied in 7. Fitz, you said I'm going to be higher this week. You're doing the same thing. You're like, I had Bo Nix lower. I'm going to fix Caleb this week on the matchup. You're doing the same thing. You've got him at 6. Erickson, you've got him at 7. What do you think on Gadsden, Fitzy?
Totally legit. I thought that maybe the Chargers' elevated pass volume in weeks 6 and 7 sort of contributed to Gadsden's big numbers those weeks because Justin Herbert had thrown a combined 93 passes in those 2 games. But Herbert only threw 25 passes last week in an easy win over the Vikings, and Gadsden still smashed. Like, it was all Gadsden early on in that game against the Vikings. So Chargers do have 3 good receivers, so there might be games where Gadsden's target counts aren't great. And Gadsden is a move tight end. He's kind of a lighter guy. So I do worry that there might be a matchup where maybe Greg Roman feels like he can run on an opponent successfully and Gadsden loses some snaps to some of the other tight ends on the Chargers who are better blockers. But for the most part, I think I've sort of figured out how I'm going to rank Gadsden the rest of the season. Like, I'm always going to put him below the tight ends who are pillars of their team's offenses. Guys like Trey McBride, Brock Bowers, George Kittle, Tucker Kraft, Tyler Warren. But then I'm putting him ahead of basically everyone else, all of the streaming class. Like, Gadsden is always going to be at the top of that heap.
It's so funny you said it like that because what I was going to say in the transition to Erickson was that it feels like you're your core guys and Gadsden might be his own tier and then it's to the streaming guys. You said it exactly how I felt about it, that Gadsden is like, he's this guy you've got to play, but he's his own beast. He's not going to be Bowers. We're never going to put him over Bowers or Kittle or Kraft or anything like that. But it seems like there's such a big difference between him and Kyle Pitts or him and Sam Laporta or something like that. So Erickson, you got him at consensus. Are you full agreement, full send on Oronde Gadsden?
Yep, because he's shown the weekly upside to win your week. And that was the biggest mistake I made last week where I was favoring some of these catch and fall down tight ends that I felt better about their floor projection in terms of targets, guys like Cade Otton or Dalton Schultz, when I remember looking at my rankings and thinking, dude, none of these guys can win you your week. And Gadsden just coming off this monster game where he showed an extremely high ceiling. Yeah, I think that Fitz is right. There's going to be a week or two where, okay, like the other receivers eat in the Chargers offense, Johnston bounces back and Gadsden doesn't have a big game. But even in those bad games, okay, 3 for 40. That's like what most tight ends put up anyway. So if his floor is the same as a lot of these other tight ends, just normal projection on a week-to-week basis, then yeah, you got to chase the ceiling. And that was a big mistake I made, not being high enough on Gadsden. So I apologize for that. And I was actually funny. Someone on Instagram messaged me about, should I start Cade Otton or Gadsden? I told him to start Otton. And then I said, I'm so sorry. And he's like, don't worry. I started Gadsden instead. I was like, you know what? I don't care. Good job.
Good on you. Good on you. Mark Andrews is tight end 12. Last year, he started slow, and then he just found himself again. That's not the case this year. Also, not having Lamar Jackson doesn't help with it. He's tight end 12, and you guys are still in full, like, we're not doing this range. Erickson, you got him at 14. Fitz, you've got him at 16. Let's just do some quick hits on him. Erickson, what do you think? You've definitely tried to find the positives in Mark Andrews where you can. It just hasn't happened this year, and you've been pretty committed to, like, there are no positives to be had.
Yeah, and that was when Isaiah Likely wasn't even a factor in this offense, right? Likely wasn't playing for the majority of the season, but since he's been back, he's splitting snaps 50-50 with Mark Andrews. So the route participation is really terrible for both of these guys. It's not at an ideal rate where you can trust the tight end. Andrews is kind of approaching the catch and fall down type of territory where he's not creating a lot of yards after the catch. And if he doesn't fall down in the end zone, well, he's not going to get there unless he's already in the end zone. So that's the concern. Again, when you have Lamar Jackson, who's probably going to always throw for at least 1 or 2, or at least 2 passing touchdowns every single game that he plays, yes, there's some upside with Andrews. He did have a game with 2 touchdowns this season, but outside of that, it's a really scary floor where he can get bottom out. And that same upside I'm talking about, Isaiah Likely has the same upside because their usage is basically identical in terms of just raw target volume. And who's the more talented player at this point who can generate more explosive plays? It's probably Isaiah Likely. So, yeah, Andrews is someone that I don't feel thrilled about starting this week. But I guess if you're in a pinch, attaching your guys to Lamar Jackson's not the worst bet to make. And it's also a good matchup.
But Fitz, there just hasn't been anything. Like, to me, Andrews is at that spot where you just go, listen, if he has the week where he breaks out, awesome. It just won't be in a starting lineup. Like, if there's almost any choices, you just got to move away from Andrews at this point.
That's it. It's total touchdown dependence for Mark Andrews. And he could score 2 touchdowns this week and make Erickson and I look silly for fading him. But Erickson nailed it with the Isaiah Likely usage. Like the bad surface stats for Isaiah Likely the last couple of weeks sort of mask the fact that he has been running as many routes and playing as many snaps as Andrews. So, yeah, I think that sort of undermines the potential value of Andrews. And I'm also just expecting a big dose of Derrick Henry this week with the Ravens, maybe trying to protect Lamar Jackson a little bit in his first game back. I don't know if you guys have looked at NFL.com's playoff probabilities. Care to guess what they're estimating the 2-5 Ravens at as far as their chances to make the playoffs?
I don't know which way this is going to go. It's going to be some ridiculously low number, or it's going to be a ridiculously high number.
It's probably high. I'm going to say like 70%.
I'm going to say 45%.
I think it's 56%. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't think you have to feel like if you're the Ravens with this, soft division they're in. I think we saw that the Steelers are kind of a paper tiger. Like, they don't have to put the pedal to the metal every game. And I think maybe they protect him a little bit and run the ball a lot this week against the Dolphins, who have been a great matchup for teams in the running game, except for the Falcons last week with Bijan, who just laid a complete egg, which was the most shocking thing in the world.
All right, last one. This is a tight end that's outside the top 12. And we're going to do a quick hitter on this because I think it's simple. Zach Ertz is tight end 12. You guys are burying him. But is this completely tied to Jaden Daniels? Because my question is, because you guys got him at like Fitz at 22, Erickson, you got him at 19. If Jaden Daniels is active, is Ertz a better play than Mark Andrews, or are you guys just completely out? Fitz, we'll start with you.
I will move Ertz one spot ahead of Andrews if Jaden Daniels plays. But again, rarely are hamstrings 1 week injuries, so sure. I'm projecting Mariota to play.
Erickson, same thing. Is this just tied to when Ertz doesn't have Daniels, he's not worthwhile starting?
I don't want to start Ertz like ever. But like, we're talking about catch and fall down tight ends. Like, he is the king, and he's been like this for his entire NFL career. Not to say obviously he's had a lot of monster seasons, but I mean, guys, he had 6 targets last week and he had 16 yards.
I know. The yards per target are down this year. Like, I liked him as like a deep dive if you really punted tight end this year, because he and Daniels did click down the stretch last year, but just, in hindsight, the analysis of like recommending a 34-year-old tight end, who, by the way, is about to turn 35 in early November, probably not a great call on my part.
Tight ends.
I think for me, you want to play Colston Loveland over these guys. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, Loveland is like set to smash this week. So if he's available on waivers, like, that's even ECR has Loveland ahead of these guys at 13. Loveland's going to, there's receiver injuries on the Bears. Burden's banged up. Zacchaeus is banged up. Cole Kmet's still out with a back injury. And this is the smash of all smash matchups against the Bengals. And Loveland usage was really good last week, even though he didn't pop in the box score. So I think this is like a Loveland breakout game. And I would much rather start him over any of these other older veteran tight ends.
I think I also like a Theo Johnson. Bonus would be a Theo Johnson for
Theo
me.
Johnson too.
Yeah, his usage profile is elevated for sure with the Scadaboo injury, no neighbors. Totally agree.
There you go. Tight ends, quarterbacks, those are the ranks that we're covering. If you guys want more, go to fantasypros.com/rankings. You can see the whole list of all of them all the way up until kickoff as the adjustments are going to happen throughout the week. Make sure you're dialed into everything that we got going on over here at Fantasy Pros, because if you got questions, we've got answered and we got you covered. For Erickson and Fitzy, I'm Welsh. Good luck in week 9, and we'll talk to you next time right here on Fantasy Pros.